Jags have a lot of help. They're possibly waiting on Aaron. I still believe that they can get one of the tackles I don't think it's there. I think Shedeur Sanders. I have him as one player. I think he's going to be a household player on offense. I think probably defense where it's going to take most of the time. I think that's going to be number. I the Cats the Cats are good help. They still have a lot of money. I don't think the Cats really need offensive tackle. You've got to take after the Cats.
You absolutely have to take. Now you can hear me, I'm sure. You absolutely have to take Abdul Carter fourth if you are the Pets. You absolutely got to. You can't wait around and take the offensive lineman. I think you could do that later. A lot of cap flexibility and all that, etc. I definitely think they're going to take the Abdul Carter uh, fourth. Number five, I think it is Mason Graham for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Jaguars absolutely help at the D line more than any other position, and they need a lot of help. I could see a corner here. Maybe you need help on the side of Brian Thomas as far as a wideout, everything. But I think it's Mason Graham for sure. Number five for the Jags. I think with Geno Smith, I think Ashton Genty goes early. Ashton Genty is a top five pick. I do think some people said there's not much difference between the running backs. I think they're pretty close, in my opinion. I think Genty has a bit of daylight, I think, to be picked this high. I think he's that good of a running back as well. I think Genty is pretty good, is really good. The Raiders not needing a quarterback. This is also to very Raider thing to do. Take a QB, or take a skill guy early. I think Genty is good at five. Will Johnson, number six for the Jets. The Jets, look, they lost TJ Reed, and I know they signed Brandon Stevens, so they definitely still have a needed corner. I think Will Johnson's top five. I think might be sliding down a bit here, but I think the Jets take him at six. If he's healthy, he's elite. I think he's a top five talent. I think the Jets. I don't think they go ahead and pass here. Jaden Walker, I think for Georgia is at the edge, number eight. Walker, I think is for real deal. I think Walker is a fantastic edge rusher as well, productive as well. I was a little worried about maybe in Carolina's defense. He's a bit to me that more of a 3-4 ish guy, if you still even call that 3-4 ish nowadays. But I still think he's that. But I definitely think too much talent to pass up. Number eight, Carolina. Terriana McMillan for I think I got it wrong again. Arizona. Sorry about that. So Arizona at number eight. Don't know the status of Chris Avila going forward. Definitely need help at the off. Definitely need help in the offensive in the wide receiver. So definitely, I think that is something that they should do. Number eight, the Saints. A lot of people like Will Campbell here. I don't. I know the Bears. They went ahead and they got Joe Tooney. They went ahead and made some moves there. I think Tooney. I think Banks. I think is the number one guy. I like Banks more. I think Campbell. I think is slipping down. I've seen him higher. I don't love the tackles as much as other people like him. Menabu, I've seen high. I don't. I think Banks. I think is the guy. I think not great, not as good at the combine maybe, but I don't so much worry about that. I think the Bears take him at eight. Mikal Williams. I think it's a bit of a teardown right now in San Francisco. Definitely edge rush is the number one thing. They need some help on the other side of Nick Bosa. So I think Mikal Williams, I think, is going to be number 11 for them. I think he should play well there. They need a lot of help. They could go a lot of different directions looking at their offseason, getting rid of Debo Samuel, etc. Cowboys, Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. I think Hampton is more the in between the tackles guy. I don't think he is the home run burst that I don't think he has the home run burst that Genty has. That's why I have Genty a little bit higher. Some people are going to say this is a little high for him. I definitely think Dallas has to take a running back, have to do it early. I don't think they're going to take one in the third, fourth, fifth round. I don't think they're going to go do that. I think they're going to do it early. I think they're going to take a running back. Hampton, maybe a little higher than he should, but I think the Cowboys, I know they like skill players early. They like these type of players early. Will Campbell, I think, goes to Miami. They are worried about Terran Armstead retiring. I think either way, they definitely need some help on the line. They didn't even look like the same football team when Tua got hurt last year. Will Campbell at 13. Tyler Warren at Colts tight end. I think there's no chance they pass on Tyler Warren if Tyler Warren's there. They definitely need help. Look, they signed Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. The best way to help these guys, whoever's pulling the trigger, is to have great tight end play. They have a huge hole of tight end. So I don't think any way you pass on Warren. He's there. James Pierce, Tennessee, edge. Their defense is terrible in Atlanta. I think that's the only thing that's kind of holding them up from doing more than what they've been doing. So I think Pierce, is going to go ahead and be the edge for them as well. Atlanta, they have to go defense. They have to go defense this year. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback again that surprises 2 years in a row. Mike Green is going to the Cardinals. And the edge play the opposite of Josh Sweat, which they just acquired in free agency. They badly need help rushing the passer. I think on defense, Kyler Murray is inconsistent. The defense is also inconsistent. So I definitely think they have some holes. They did go ahead and get Sweat in free agency, which is good. They spent a lot of money, but they definitely need help on defense. Kenneth Grant for the Bengals. They went ahead and shored up the wide receiving core. So, they went out and re-signed T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to long-term extensions. They re-signed B.J. Hill, but they need somebody next to him. Trey Hendrickson may be on the block. I think that's definitely this is definitely I think the route that could go. Grant is a almost too good to pass up here. Membu for the Seattle Seahawks, now protecting for Sam Darnold in the Seahawks. I don't love him as much as everybody seems to like him. I think I only know you could play him at tackle for sure. But that's why I like the Seattle fit. You could kick him in the guard. I think he's better there than he is at tackle. If he is at tackle, he's a right tackle pure, more run blocking. You like his run blocking. You like his run blocking. So that's definitely true with him. Shamar Stewart is edge at Texas A&M. Look, a little bit of a flag with him. The athleticism is there. All the measurables are there. I'd like to see more sack totals out of him as well. But I think he's on a good team, good offense there. I think he should do well. I like Shamar Stewart there. Bit of a roll of a dice. He wasn't as productive as he wanted, but the athleticism is off the charts. He could be one of these guys like Oweh. He might need a year to really see those really good sack totals. Colston Loveland is at 20 for the Broncos. I think they were very active in the free agency. Defense, I think they did a lot. I still think they need a tight end. You definitely want to help a young quarterback like Bo Nix. So I definitely think they take Loveland. A couple more. Jade Barron for the Squealers. So the Squealers go ahead. They did go out and get DK Metcalf, which is a huge addition for them on offense. So I definitely think they're looking defense, somebody next to Joey Porter. They did sign Slay. I think you could play him in the slot, or you could play Jade Barron in the slot. So actually a similar guy to Slay. I think this is more Slay in his prime. Slay maybe a little past the prime. Barron, I think, is a good move for them. They're definitely improving on defense. Another edge, Nick Scorson. I think definitely they signed Khalil Mack back for one more year. So definitely they can kind of groom an edge for a year. I think that's not a bad choice for them to do. To have Scorson, two outstanding edges, athleticism-wise, for Texas A&M, having Stewart and Scorton. Definitely, I think they're going to go defense as well. They went out. The Chargers went and signed Mekhi Becton on offense. So I don't think probably they're going to look to improve their defense from last year. Luther Burton, I think, is a steal for the Packers. So definitely the Packers. Now this is a franchise not known for taking skill players early. They like offensive line, defensive line, whatever, all that stuff. But I think a Luther Burton is there. I'm putting him in the cannot pass category. They definitely are a team that definitely could use more help at the wide receiver position. Christian Watson was injured, Romeo Dobbs issues, etc. Corner two, but I think if Burton is there, I think they take him. Walter Nolan for the Vikings. Vikings, they are committed now to J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. So they've solidified that for sure. They said he's going to be their number one starter. They're not going to have Aaron Rodgers there. So they did sign Aaron Jones in the offseason. So pretty good roster. So definitely signing a defensive tackle here definitely is a good ad for them. Emeka Egbuka for Ohio State. Texas absolutely need line for sure. They traded away Tunzel. I definitely think they need a wide receiver though too. I definitely you're not going to have Stephon Diggs probably next year. You're not going to have probably Nico Collins. You're not going to have Tank Dell rather for the injury. So definitely you need a starting receiver. Definitely a good value here. Seems to be sliding down the board. It could be tackle here. It could be one of the tackles, but I definitely think that is the move here. Rams, Josh Simmons, tackle. I think the only reason Simmons isn't higher in the draft is because he has injury issues at the Ohio State University. That's probably the only reason he's higher. I think this guy is a talent. Sean McVay definitely jumps on this guy. The Ravens. So after getting Ron Stanley back, I think Tyler Booker. There you go. Tyler Booker is the move. Booker, I think, is the best guard in the draft. No question about it. He's a mauler, and he's got great hands, and he is a good technique, good pass blocker. I think he's the only one, I think, worthy of a first-round grade. Now, we're here at the back, so you might see another one, but I think Booker is the first one off the board available for the Ravens. I think the Ravens definitely take it. No Voorhees is there, etc. I think Booker is the choice. Derek Harmon still need help on defense, I think, for the Lions. I think the Lions don't have a lot of needs. I think they can absolutely take the best player available. I think Harmon, is absolutely that. Commanders, Jack Sawyer for Ohio State. I love the two edge rushers for Ohio State. Sawyer, I think, absolutely fills a need for them. I definitely think they made some moves on offense. So I think definitely in the draft, they're going to go look on defense. They went out, got Deebo Samuel. They went and got Larry Tunzel. So I definitely think Sawyer is the guy here late for them. Malachi Starks for the Bills. Look, Micah Hyde for so many years was good for them. I think definitely you get a guy this late, definitely a guy worthy. So they did some stuff in the offseason. This is a guy definitely that I don't think you can pass on Starks here this late. Eshery, I think the tackle from Minnesota. They did sign Jalen Moore, the Chefs. Yeah, I definitely Jawan Taylor wasn't good either. This is definitely still to me not 9-1-1, maybe 4-1-1 at this point because we have had some free agency. I'm still thinking they take a tackle. Defense for sure for Philly. I think they got so much on offense. Timbo from Ohio State. I see him later. I like him. I really like these two guys from Ohio State. Definitely two. You can fit him in to a great Eagles defense. I think this is still maybe the best team in the NFL. The Eagles. JT is the pick. There you go. All right. So lots of stuff now after free agency has happened. So we've had some sea change here. We've had some things already happen. So Raiders maybe no longer looking for a quarterback, or Ravens no longer looking for a tackle as well. We're going to see what happens in Pittsburgh with the quarterbacks. So things change after the draft, after free agency as well. And so they are changing. My goodness. There we go. The Ravens back draft. So we looked at the whole league. So what are we going to do as the Ravens to go ahead with in the 2025 draft? Um, Things have changed a bit. So it's after free agency, don't have a ton of needs as far as starting needs. You have 11 picks. The comp picks were announced. So this is they're going to be adding to their depth. This offseason for the Ravens absolutely goes to what they like. They don't like to reach out and do this and reach out and do that and have to do this. This is stuff they can kind of just build. Not a lot of starter needs in particular, but you can get a backup quarterback. You can get a kick returner. You can get some, things like so they can build it out. So I think this is interesting to see what they do here. Uh, Tyler Booker, we just talked about him. I think this is an excellent first pick for the Ravens. Booker, I think, is going to be there late. I don't think a lot of teams are going to take a guard early. This is about where you see a guard. The guy I'm comparing to him is Osiris Torrance. Again, big guy, strong, physical. If they run 35 times behind Derrick Henry, they're great. If they throw 30 times with Lamar Jackson, they're good. This is a guy who can do both. I think he has the body of a mauler, but I think I like his hands. I like his push on the offensive line. Definitely, I think that is 27 for Tyler Booker. Alfred College. He's picking 59. This could be a real Raven steal. Now, all of a sudden now, Michael Pierce retired. Bruce Urban not on the roster. They may sign him, but he's at the age now where maybe he's going to retire as well. You're going to need some help at D tackle. You only got three guys. You only have Matabuke starters, Matabuke, Jones, and Braddock Washington. So you're going to need some depth. You're going to replenish that pretty early. I think Alfred Collins is a guy that can do that. Kind of like Booker on the other side as well. Plays the run well, pass well, a little raw. Productive, not as productive as you'd like to have hoped. The athleticism is there. I absolutely think there's real pass rush potential with Collins. That's why I have Trevor Price. Stepping it up maybe a little higher than some people see, but I definitely think in the second round, I like this pick. I like Collins. I think this is about where he's going to go. I think he's kind of being slept on because his college production wasn't great, but athleticism is great, and it doesn't have to start right away. It doesn't have to do a whole lot right away. Excellent pick. Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State. Injury issues. He didn't play as much this year, so I think he only played like 5 games. So I think he definitely could have been higher. Xavier McKinney is right. I like his feel for the ball, where he can get the football. I think he's definitely good at that. I absolutely think the feel for the ball is good for him. Kevin Winston. I think Xavier McKinney is a guy like that. Xavier McKinney probably had his best year. He's a guy who finds his way. Just got to keep him healthy on the field. Definitely, they called out safety, so I definitely think they're going to take a safety. Kobe Bryant, again, in this draft, number 129. I definitely have him compared to Mighty Mouse as well. Definite need here. So I think the only concern with him is just the measurables, but the instincts, I love him. Every time I've seen him, his instincts are great. He has a good nose for the ball. He's not a big guy, but he's not afraid of the run game. He goes ahead. He's not afraid to jump up in the run game, make some tackles, hit somebody, hit running backs, go up against lines. So I really like that. Measurables ain't there. I think he can play outside too. I think you may have to leave him in the slot. I think if you leave him in the slot, it's going to be fantastic. But I think definitely tremendous football IQ here for that. Andres Barales, kicker. He kind of actually reminds me of Justin Tucker watching him. Watching him, he actually reminds me of the guy he finally figures to replace. I do think they are going to replace Justin Tucker. They're not in a hurry to do it. They're hiding behind the league investigation, blah, blah, blah. Tucker didn't play well. I think this guy, though, you do have to take him early. 12, 13 teams are looking at him, watch him work out. So I do believe you're going to have to, if you're going to take this guy, and I do think they may take a kicker in the 4th round. They have a lot of picks that they have to do it early. but he definitely reminds me of Tucker. Luke Rose award winner, outstanding stuff. I definitely think this is something that the Ravens would do in the fourth round. Troy Horton from Colorado State kind of reminds me of Luke McCaffrey. I don't know how good of a receiver he is in the long term. He can definitely catch the deep pass, and he's definitely, I think, going to help on special teams. They definitely need help on the special teams. So I definitely believe that this is a guy that can help them here on special teams. I think Troy Horton, I think, is definitely somebody that they definitely going to look for help on the special teams. They did resign Tyler Wallace, so they definitely think they're going to bring a guy in for competition. Wallace, they may be viewing as not necessarily a punt returner, kick returner, but a wedge pusher. This guy, they're definitely going to try him out on kick return, punt return, and he can help you a little bit at receiver. I think they may take another receiver. Dylan Gabriel, 6. They did sign Cooper Rush, hallelujah, as his backup. So I think this is just going to be a developmental guy. Gabriel, Russell Wilson, I think, he's not going to be at the level of Russell Wilson, I don't think, but you get the accurate. Ball doesn't hit the ground much. The measurables are a real thing. Russell's size is a real thing. He's not. I think he's like 5'11", so he may not. He's definitely below stature as well. And in college, I kind of thought the same thing. Good butt, solid butt. He didn't really take that next step. I think he's going to be the last of a lot of these quarterbacks that are taken. Definitely a developmental guy. I think the Ravens can absolutely have as well. There. Jay Higgins, inside linebacker, Iowa. Love this guy. Absolutely love him. I have him as an inside linebacker, but when I saw him, watching him, he looked more like Jarrett Johnson to me, old former Raven Jarrett Johnson. So what do I mean? He's an outside linebacker, but not really. Not really the edge rusher. He has some edge rush in him, but his ability to set the edge is outstanding. Outstanding. Saw a lot of Kyle Van Noy in him. I think that was almost the other one I said, Kyle Van Noy, but that's what I saw a lot. His instincts in the intermediate era, right behind the defensive line, is very good. Definitely think you could put him in inside linebacker if you are on the Ravens, if you have a Roquan Smith. I don't know if he's a Mike, but definitely got great instincts in there. Definitely worth a guy to take a look at late here. Jalen Travis for the Iowa State last year. I think that they have the wrong comparison, people. But definitely a guy was the size is there. The size is there. Definitely a guy I was going to compare him to was Todd Herman's. I didn't put the graphic right there, but Todd Herman's just a big physical guy. John Madden always said, if you're going to take a guy in a draft late like this, you want to take a big guy or fast guy. Here's your big guy. All right, here's your size here late in the draft. Chris Tyree for Virginia played at Notre Dame. Great speed as well. Great speed. I think this is more the pure punt returner in the draft. I don't think you have a different position for him. I don't think he does anything else for you. Struggled at that last year at times, so I definitely think you could take a flyer on him late. Definitely, I think he could be a guy they go undrafted as well. I'm sorry. Ty Hamilton for Ohio State. So how good was the line at Ohio State that they're taking this guy in the 7th round? I think he could be a good cleanup guy. I think he has a good shot at making the Ravens this late in the draft. They may need 2 defensive tackles in this draft. So just taking this guy, definitely of the ones there. We talked about Eshery. We talked about Sawyer. We talked about JT. We talked about a lot of these guys. They have a lot of guys. He was definitely the guy. If you watch a lot of the film with him, it's him doing stuff for other players to make plays. There's a lot. So I think he kind of got overlooked. But absolutely, he's the move there late in the draft. Booker, Collins, Winston, Kobe Bryant, Morales, Troy Horton, Dylan Gabriel, Jay Higgins, Jalen Travis, Tyree, and Hamilton. There you go. All right. So, Ravens in the draft. This is one of the best drafting teams in the league. Can they move up? We'll see. They got 11 picks. You don't have that many holes. So, will they take any of this draft capital and actually move up in the draft? And we'll check it out. We'll find it out. All right. A lot to get to. Let's talk about Maryland. They're going to play this week against, that is right, the Antelopes of Grand Canyon University. They are the winners of the WAC, 26-7. So the name, I think, is just crazy. But this is a good basketball team. They're playing in round one for 4 seed. To me, in the tournament, there's a big difference between a 4 seed and a 3 seed. You're playing a much better opponent. And you're getting Jacoby Coles here for Grand Canyon. I think he averaged, I think it was 14 points a game for them. Tyron Grant Foster also 14 points a game. So they're two main guys. They're going to shoot a lot. They're going to shoot a lot. Their percentages are very good. They played, and that's how they play in the WAC, that running up and down the court as well. Let's see if Maryland can get some traction here in the tournament as well. So last year you didn't make the tournament. Kevin Willard just signed this huge extension. There was interest from him from Villanova. This stuff moves quick now this time of year. If you're not in the tournament, these schools move really quick. But I like the Terps in this one. I like the Terps. We may do a post if we get to the game Saturday. I'm expecting the Terps to be in the tournament on Saturday. On Sunday, this game is on Friday, 4:30. Friday at 4:30 in Seattle, TBS. So definitely check that out. But we're definitely rooting for the Terps. I think the Terps might have the best starting 5 in the entire tournament as well. Jacoby Bileski, Seton Miguel, Derek Queen, Julian Reese, Ronnie Rice. They're fantastic. All these guys get a double figures. All these guys. They came pretty close in the Big Ten tournament as well. I don't know how worried they were about winning the Big Ten tournament. It would have been nice, but I think like the good news is they got eliminated, so they got maybe another game to rest, and also too in the first game that they won against Illinois, and they just totally tore apart Illinois. Their bench played more. I think that wasn't an accident. I think definitely you saw DHS Geronimo play more in that game. So I think they're ready to go for the tournament. We'll all be watching Friday at 4:30, watching the Terps go ahead and get squared away. We'll get to Steve Alford, but I want to talk a little bit more about the tournament here. And I want to tell you who are some of the top players in the tournament. So some of you I know don't watch all the, some of you aren't like me. You don't have a channel. You're not watching all these college basketball games. But I do want to let you guys know some of the top 5 players in the tournament and some of the guys that are honorable mention as well as far as some of the top 5 players in the tournament. So honorable mention. So these guys some of them aren't in the tournament, but these are really good players. Guys you're going to see, I think, in the draft as well. So Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper had a lot of somebody didn't like the stream again. Had a lot of talk before the season. I think they are going to be 2 and 3 in the draft if it's not Cooper Flagg. But they're definitely worth mentioning. They're definitely going to go high in the draft. Eric Dixon led the nation in scoring, even though Villanova didn't make the tournament. So he had like 24 points a game. That's really good. It didn't help his coach, who got fired as well. But definitely he's a guy you're going to have to look for in the draft. Walter Clayton, I love watching him. He's like watching Reggie Miller all over again. Very quick release. And I'm impressed. I mean, 13 teams went out of the SEC. That's impressive as well. Mark Sears for Alabama. Alabama was, I think, better last year. But I think they lost in the conference championship. They lost in the conference tournament, but Sears, I think, is still really good. Definitely keep an eye on it for sure. Brendan Smith and Purdue, another team I think was better last year. I think they kind of missed Zach Edey as well. But Brendan Smith, I think you could argue he's the best player in the Big Ten this season as well. And I own Derek Queen is a guy, freshman of the year in the Big Ten, no question about it. I've seen him as high as top 10 in the draft as well. So, number 5, Cam Jones of Marquette. Maryland lost one home game for real, the true home game, and it was to these guys, the Marquette Warriors. Cam Jones, I think, is a force multiplier. Does everything well. I love his defense as well. I think he defends very well, works hard on both sides of the ball. Marquette, I think, definitely has a shot to actually do with this guy on the court. I don't love them as a whole, but I definitely like Marquette. They kind of slid down. They were much higher now. But definitely with Cam Jones there, they're like a low top 20 team. Definitely keep their eye on him. Hopefully I say the name. Ryan Kalkbrenner for Creighton. If you like Zach Edey last year, this is for you. 7'1", everything, keeps the ball high around the basket, good size. Little bit more of a floor game. I don't think he's just a killer like everything where he's so big and decisive, but definitely can score back to the basket. The length of his arms is unbelievable. He's 7'1", but he kind of looks like Yao Ming out there. Like, arm length is unbelievable. Where he's reaching up, he can actually reach over the rim and at the basket. So outstanding stuff. I think Ryan Kalkbrenner, number 4, as well. R.J. Ruiz as well. He got Spike Lee's fake self to come out pretend he was a St. John's fan. Oh yeah, man, come on, Spike. He's outstanding. He's outstanding. Young guy, really. His hops are just terrific. Not quite Vince Carter-like, but certainly in that category. Really can shoot well. Love the way, the style that he plays. I think this is the best team I think St. John's has ever had. I'm including the 80s. Outstanding team for the Johnnies. So definitely this guy is going to be worth the price of admission as well. Chris Webber 2.0, Johnny Broom for Auburn. Wearing that number 4 space eater. Like when I saw Chris Webber play, man amongst boys, that's what this guy is. Like trying to put a body on him, it's not going to work. He's got too much strength, too much. You have to put 2 guys on him, force him out of the double team. If he gets the blocks, get his feet under him, he's just going to dunk it on you, put the move and score. Period, point blank. So that's what's going to happen there. I think Brune, is the best player in the tournament outside of Cooper Flagg. It could be Brune. If Cooper Flagg doesn't play, Flagg should play. Flagg is tremendous. I think the hype is well worth it. Definitely great size, great length. He looks about. I don't know how he's listed. I think he's listed about 6'10". He looks taller than that. But great length, great shooting ability on the outside, great inside game, floor game, handles the ball well, passes well. I think he's almost not assertive enough at times. If I have to pick something, but Flagg, I think, is the real goods. I don't know if Duke wins it, but certainly he's the real deal. Flagg, number 1 player in the tournament. I do like Auburn to win the whole thing. I do. I think Auburn is going to be the team to beat in the NCAA tournament. It'll be very, very hard for somebody to go ahead and beat Auburn. I think Brune and that team getting through a tough SEC, it'll be tough to match. There you go. All right. Quickly, let's go ahead and have a quick clip here about the NIL. Here, it's interesting. Like when you talk about things, I tell my daughter sometimes when she doesn't like a teacher or something like that, it's not the messenger that is important. It's the message, right? You tell your kids things like that because you want your kids to learn something. Okay. You don't want your kids to not listen to a teacher, or you want your kids to learn something, right? So when you have kids and you're in school, I don't care if they don't like the teacher. The teacher might have something to say, or they don't like such and such, or the youngest daughter, like, I don't like this boy. All that other stuff that happens. So I am a believer in, it's not just the messenger that you should listen to, it's the message. Um, the president is a great example of that. Some people, no matter what he says, it's great, it's fantastic, it's this. And then the other group of people, no matter what he says, what a stupid person, blah, blah, blah. So that's normal. But I want to hear, now leading up into that, I want you guys to kind of hear what Steve Alford has to say about NIL here on Twitter. Fair use. So let's go ahead and check out Steve Alford, who is an outstanding college player in his own time.
Years ago, I wasn't, uncomfortable. No, I think you get a blueprint of what we've been doing it a long time, and we develop a blueprint. Now, blueprint changes and evolves. It's 5 years ago, I wasn't on conversation saying how much you want to be paid. Never thought that would happen in college basketball, and I've always been a big proponent as the game and money has evolved and changed. I've never been one that said I don't believe student athletes should be paid, but the way it is now is ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous, and it's changed our game. And so you got to adapt. We got to adapt, but every coach, every handshake I have now before games, that's brought up every game. Me and the opposing coach are going to talk about portal issues, and where's academics at? Like I've talked to my compliance guys. What's APR anymore? You can't control APR. It's a JUCO. You're going to replace 8, 9 guys to a roster every year. There's a travel time that is across the country in these leagues. It makes no sense for that to be our model, but that is our model. So more than us, do we have to evolve as coaches? Yeah, we got to evolve of how now we recruit. Like, it used to be, hey, what's my degree going to look like? What's your facilities look like? What's your relationship with the team look like? Are you there for all practices? Are you a coach that dives into relationships, and you're going to care for my child? You might as well throw all that stuff out, because the only question they're concerned about is what they're getting paid in the portal.
Yeah, he's got a point, but you can miss me, Steve Alford. With that stuff, you guys can miss me. Let me tell you something. I'm not going to sit here and tell other people what they should and shouldn't get paid, and that's crazy. Like, he's not the messenger for this. Okay, media and a lot of them that make this conversation, well, guys shouldn't get paid this and guys shouldn't get paid that, and he's saying, well, all they care about, just okay. Steve Alford has made millions of dollars. He's getting paid $1.5 million, over $1 million as a coach of Nevada. He made millions of dollars coaching his. I'm sorry, you can't complain now when you created this problem. And the media too. Some of these announcers that could make the complaint, well, they made millions and millions of dollars covering college basketball and watching basketball and all this other stuff. And now you're like, well, these guys shouldn't get blah, blah, blah. No. I think the sad part is he's right in the sense of something has to be done. It's too crazy. I don't disagree with that, but coaches need to stop. Nick Saban kind of made a similar speech. You need to stop. A lot of the media, y'all need to stop. I don't want to hear y'all. Y'all sitting here saying now these guys shouldn't get it. And if I let the clip play, it's on Twitter. What happens to these guys after? When have we ever cared about what happened to the athletes? So Interesting. I thought it was. I thought it's funny he kind of said it out loud there. But yeah, so definitely check that out. It's on Twitter. Definitely punch Steve Albert and get that squared away. All right. So let's go to baseball, and this is one of my favorite positions on the field, if not my most favorite. What are we talking about? Let's talk about the relief pitcher, the closer, the ninth inning. So let's absolutely go ahead and get that squared away as well. The first one on the list is going to surprise some people here as well. I'm getting it pulled up here. But it is interesting to see. I do want to take a second here while I'm pulling it up, like the devaluing of pitchers in some instances where it's in a lot of places they're not valuing the pitcher as much as they once were the relief pitcher. I think you look at the Guardians especially, and they are a team for sure that the reason why they are as high as they are is because of the pitching. And why are you not pulling up here? Did it go corrupt on me real quick? Change the subject or you'll lose your mind. You know, I gave 28 years. I used both my legs to this city. Loved nearly every single minute of it. Oh, come on, God. Pulling it up now here. One more second here. Monday morning, I'm submitting my resignation to the city council. I want you to be the first to know. All I ask is that you respect my decision. A few more seconds getting that slide up here. All right, so let's do this here while I'm pulling it up still. Let's go to this segment here. Saving it for the end, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now. I'm getting a chance to pull up that slide here. Hopefully, we get to do that. So let's do the roster predictions, because I know I have that one up. So I had so many. I can only pull up so many at a time. So 26-man roster predictions. Last year, not real confident with it. Not at all. Not real confident with the 26-man roster predictions for the Orioles. This year, much, much, much more confident in that. I think a lot of the die has been cast in this as well. So definitely, I think what we're going to see here is what we're going to see on the field when the season starts next Thursday as well. Adley Rutschman for the Orioles, I think he's still. I'm saying he's still the best catcher in all of baseball. I definitely think that's absolutely could be true here for Adley. Definitely, I think he's one of the best catchers in all of baseball. Gary Sanchez is on the roster as well for the Orioles. Yeah, Gary Sanchez is on the roster for the Orioles. Not a good offensive player, but not a good defensive player, but good offensively. I think that we're looking for a little tick up offensively as well. For that, I don't know how much he's going to play. I'm going to assume he's going to play as much as Justin McCann. He's going to be your Sunday afternoon catcher. I don't know what they're going to do with Adley. Interestingly enough, are they going to rest him more? I think some of his issue was he couldn't. Some of his issue was he couldn't play on. He was playing too much. He was DHing, and then he was playing too much. And I think he was a little tired. Ryan Mountcastle, Ryan O'Hearn. Mountie, I think they didn't trade him. I think he's going to start. I think he's going to get the bulk of the reps. We know Ryan O'Hearn good against right-handers. I think that is going to go there. Jackson Holiday, I do think is going to be your second baseman. I think he's looked decent enough this spring. They're going to give him every opportunity. They may yank him in and out with Urias. They're very non-committal, this Orioles roster, but I think you're going to go ahead and see that. Westy is going to start at third base. Yamon Reeves, I think, will back him up. I think he'll be a backup at second, too. I think you'll see him there. Urias, I think, has lasted as well. You will see Mateo at some point. You're not going to see him at the start. I think he's going to be on the injured list. Even though he did play in spring training, I think he might be a little bit ahead of schedule. So good for Jorge. And I think Gunnar Henderson, only question is he going to be the MVP of the entire league at shortstop? He's going to play 150-plus games unless there's an injury of some kind. Tyler O'Neill, Roman Laranado, I think I'm pronouncing that right. O'Neill, I think, is going to play in left like he did in Boston. So as well. So both of these guys are free agent additions. I think O'Neill's he's going to rock out. He's going to play every day. Laranado, I think he's going to be your fourth outfielder. Interesting to see what happens to his roster spot, though, Laranado with Mateo comes back. Mullins, I think, is going to be the same role. Excellent defense. Playing higher, hitting higher in the order, I think, is spring training. So let's keep an eye on that. Let's see. I think maybe they'd like to get him back to number one, but I've seen basically the same as well. Colton Cowser and Hurstad, I think, are at the top of the order here as well. I think Cowser, I think, is in the number one spot there. I think Cowser, is going to be, can he make the next step getting to the all-star level as well? And, of course, the slide went down. Goodness gracious. Cowser, I think, is in the number one position. Cowser, I think, I'm going to get it out. Cowser, I think, is in the number one position for the Orioles as well. And Heston Kjerstad is going to be in the number two Orioles position. I don't think Kjerstad is going to play as much as maybe they are saying here. So it'll be interesting to see how that is. It looks like my slides are gone. Yeah, all the slides are gone. All right, so let's do it without the slides. Improvise in the last few minutes here. So out there in the starting pitching, okay, so we got that. So we got all the positions down. The starting pitching for the Orioles as well. So without the slides, we got Zach Eflin. I think Zach Eflin has been named the opening day starter. No question that Eflin is going to go ahead and be the number one guy there for the Orioles. They're going to need him. I don't think you're going to have Grayson. Grayson isn't on here as well. They're not going to have him. Charlie Morton, Dean Kramer, Tomiuchi Sagano, Kate Povich. Povich, I think, has had a good spring. I think Povich was behind Suarez in the rotation, but I think Povich has had a good spring. He's absolutely earned his spot there as the guy in the rotation here as well. 8 pitchers, I think. Felix Bautista, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Yadier Cano, Kaleno Perez, Keegan Aiken, Greg Soto, and Albert Suarez, Brian Baker. That's etched in stone. I would be shocked unless there's another move that they bring in anybody else there as well. I don't think unless there is some Michael Elias magic of some kind that they are going to bring in anybody else to compete for those positions there as well. All right. So there you go. I will go ahead and go over this real quick. I'm going to just go over the top 10 here. It will be available on Twitter since we had a little bit of a tech. I don't know what happened to the slides where they wouldn't, for whatever reason, they wouldn't go up. But the top 10 will be on Twitter, but I will go over them here as well. Kobe Mayo optioned to Norfolk. A lot of fans were upset about the way he reacted. Kobe Mayo, the way he reacted as far as when he got sent down, I don't know why anybody's upset. I don't know how happy you want a player to be after getting sent to Norfolk. Cade Povich, great spring. I think that cemented him in the 5th starter rotation. I think he probably was behind. Now he's not. I think that he's gonna get every opportunity to be the 5th starter. A non-Russian, Sam Basayo, one of the top prospects in baseball. Daz Kramer, Nick Gordon, Corbin Martin, Thaddeus Ward, Levi Stout, all sent to minor league camp. No big surprise there, in my opinion. That happened as well. Real quick, and let's do the top 10 relievers in baseball as well. Sans our slides. Here, number 10, Cade Smith from the Guardians. I think Cade Smith is there. I think probably he'd be closer on any other team other than the team he's on. I think that's the only reason he is, because Emmanuel Clase is there. Number 9, Ryan Helsey of the Reds. Helsey, I think, is one of the reasons why the Reds are in a good position to win their division this year. I don't think they win the division, but Halsey, I think, just throws blue smoke. Devin Williams, number 8 from the Yankees. I think Williams, going to a better team isn't convincing me. Got hurt last year, but pitched very well at the end. Edwin Diaz, number 7 for the Mets. Got the best closer entrance, I think, in all of baseball. Definitely, I don't care if you're not a Mets fan, definitely check out the Edwin Diaz closer entrance. He started to look like himself. He actually got taken out of the role. They're paying him a lot of money. He actually kind of found himself again. A couple years ago, he had at 1 or 2. I have him at 7. Andres Munoz for the Mariners at 8. Mariners have outstanding pitching. Bullpen not great, but he's going to get a lot of opportunities with that great rotation that they have. Munoz, I think I have him at 7 as well. Number 5 is not Mace Miller. Number 5, I'm sorry, Raisel Iglesias of the Braves. I think this guy is really consistent over a long period. I really think that this guy is one of the better pitchers as well. So good, so long with the Angels. Even last year, a lot of the Braves had down years. I thought he was fantastic. Number 4 is Mason Miller for the Oakland Athletics. Sacramento Athletics. Very impressive, Mason Miller. Throws smoke, big, tall, long, throws very hard. I thought, look, the A's are getting better. I think one of the reasons why they decided not to trade him, this guy definitely is a focal point for him. Number 3, the Mount, Felix Bautista. I thought you could probably put him at number 1 a couple years ago. See how he reacts to Tommy John. He's looked very good at the end of camp. A little bit of a concern that maybe he wouldn't start. Definitely hit 3. He's back on his game. He's great. He's topping out at 98, looking really good. Number 2 is Josh Hader. Yeah, I know. Hader not as good last year. Josh Hader struggled a little bit more in last year than he previously had. And number 1 is Emmanuel Clase of the Guardians. I think this guy's fantastic. His ERA was microscopic, not even a 1. I think the Guardians bullpen could take him very far this year, having Cade Smith, 2 top 10 guys in the bullpen as well. Seawald even there, but Clase just on another level. You can't even get your hands around and hit the ball with him. Improvise. There you go. Thank you very much for joining us here. Great Sports Podcast Sunday, MLB predictions video. Watch our interview also to an Average Joe Sports Podcast. E-Man, that's going to be on Saturday night. Definitely talking a little bit about the Yankees, the Orioles. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Good conversation with him. He was nice enough to give us our time. Thank you. You have a great day.